Today we dive into looking at standard rotation and cards that could possibly be going up or down in price. Let's get into it today. Hey everybody, welcome to the Wafflecast. Today we are talking about the standard rotation that is coming up in August. It's actually on August 2nd. That's when Bloomburrow comes out. So today I'm going to be highlighting some cards that came out in the 4 sets that are being rotated out, as far as key cards like creatures, enchantments, things like that. And then we're going to be looking at the real estate, which is the lands of those sets, because that is going to be very important. So first thing I want to talk about is let's look at Innistrad, Crimson Vow, and Midnight Hunt. There's a couple cards out of there like not Farewell, Hallowed Haunting, and Wedding Announcement. Those were some really big key cards for certain decks that came out during that time period, like Green-White Enchantments. There was also the Black-White Control deck, mid-rangey kind of deck, and those will be rotating out. Those are really good cards in Standard. They have since fallen out of favor for some decks. Some decks kind of still use them. Some people still use the Green-White deck. And so there will be a ton of cards for like the Green-White Enchantment deck that's going to be rotating, even commons and uncommons. But I'm not going to highlight a lot of those. I'm just going to talk about some of the rares and mythics and things like that. So moving up into Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty, we had the Wandering Emperor. We had Farewell, which Farewell to Farewell. Thank goodness. That card was annoying as hell, right? You had the Esper control decks, the Blue-White control decks. You had a couple other decks that played, multiple copies of those cards. And then we get to Streets of New Capenna, and you've got things like Ledger Shredder, Rafine, Nixless, Jetmir. There's a couple other cards that, kind of made some appearance, like I think it was Xander. There's a couple Xander decks that came out, things like that. You have Toperi Stomper, the ramping little dinosaur. You had all kinds of different things that were in those sets that would, kind of fill in here and there. Ledger Shredder was really good in the, I think it was like a blue-red little fast deck, with like Delver of Secrets, things like that. Hadi Djinn. That card's not rotating, but that was in the deck. So anyways, a lot of standard decks that were tier 1 that dropped to tier 2 that are still kind of floating around that are going to leave. And so we're going to have a lot of shells that need some cards to replace, like the Atraxa shell. You're going to have some cards that need to be replaced in there. What else do we got? Just speaking off, like I know for me, I was playing Blue-White Soldiers. That deck's kind of, being neutered a little bit here and there. What else? Like the Green-White Enchantment deck, I don't even think is going to exist after rotation. So there'll be a lot of theory crafting and deck building that needs to go on to see how this new standard is going to be. And one of the reasons why we're going to need a lot of theory crafting and deck building is because there's a lot of real estate leaving. If you look at the lands from each of those sets, there's only 4 sets rotating. But you look at Innistrad and Crimson Vow, you've got Shattered Sanctum, you've got Shipwreck Marsh, you've got Deserted Beach, you've got all of these good dual lands that are going out. You look at Streets of New Capenna, you've got all the tri-lands about to cycle out because they cycle. No, just kidding. And then you got the Neon Dynasty channel lands, which are rotating out. The utility lands of the channel lands were really good. There was a couple other little lands in there like Secluded Courtyard and a couple other things that kind of made some appearances in certain decks. But there is going to be a cry for lands. And so I was looking into sets that have just recently came out that have really good lands in them. Murders of Karloff Manor. Those booster boxes are down into like the 80s, I believe. And you can get Surveil lands, which I looked at. All of them are $10 plus, except for a couple of them. Like Lush Portico, Rakocious Theater, a couple other ones. They're pushing like $5 to $8, but if you look at the good lands like the blue-black land, the green-black land, they're all pushing $10, $15. And so if you'd gotten on the wagon before, realizing rotation was coming, you could have picked those up for $3 to $5 a piece when Murders first came out. Don't get me wrong, Murders is a great set. If you want to try to hit those Surveil lands, which I think the print run was about 4 to 6 per box, you're still going to get a good amount of your money back if you want to try to hit them off of that. But in my opinion, you should just buy them outright. Now, OTJ with the fast lands, Outlaws of Thunder Junction, boxes are relatively cheap, but the fast lands are even cheaper. Like, they're $1 to $2 a piece. If you want to pick up a play set, let's see, that's 40 times 2. You're looking at $80 max to pick up a whole. No, there's only 5 each. What am I talking about? You're looking at like $40 max to pick up your whole play set of the fast lands, and that's pretty cheap. Because I guarantee you in the next coming months when Bloomburrow is out and people are theory crafting and getting the deck building and everything ready, they're going to be using those lands. Those lands are going to be very prominent and needed in the upcoming standard format. Trying to think if Ixalan had anything really other than Cavern of Souls. You do have the new lands in Bloomburrow that are coming out, which are relatively okay. So that's why I'm saying, like, you need to realize this now when it comes to getting ready for standard in the upcoming months. Now, don't get me wrong. Standard is not exactly the champion format that it once was. It is a complete hot mess still. But I think Bloomburrow is definitely going to come shake that up, especially with the rotation that is coming. So it's going to cause some new decks. It's going to cause some old decks to get a facelift. All kinds of different stuff's going to happen. So on that note, moving to real estate with lands, MH3, I just want to put a little side note in there. MH3 fetch lands, you can pick up the Wooded Foothills and the Windswept piece for $5 to $10. I think Bloodstained Mires are pushing 10 maybe. And then Polluted Deltas and Flooded Strands are 10 to 15, which is relatively cheap for what they were before. You were looking at Wooded Foothills for $20, $30, 6-7 months ago. So I feel like now is a good time if you're wanting to get fetch lands for Commander, Modern, Cube, whatever. I would start looking at those. Same with Shocklands. Shocklands are starting to creep back up, especially for Pioneer. You have Pioneer formats that are going to need to be played for qualifying season. So Shocklands are going to shoot back up now that Ravnica Remastered isn't being opened as much. So, there's a lot of stuff going on right now with this August 2nd rotation that some of you may or may not be aware of. So if you are looking to get in, and even like I mentioned, Murders and OTJ boxes are relatively cheap. Neo, Streets, Innistrad, Vow, those are all pushing 70 to 90 a box, which isn't bad either. So I mean, if they start to tank even more because of the rotation, I might even pick a couple up just to sit on, because those lands are really good and still viable for Pioneer and Modern. So once a set rotates, it's not always a death to that set. There might be some key cards in there that later on, Ledger Shredders and Streets of New Capenna, it's still a $20 card because it's used in I think is it Phoenix, which is a great Pioneer deck. In my opinion, it's probably the best Pioneer deck out right now. So there is still some meat on the bone for some of these sets, even when they do rotate out of Standard. So I just want you guys to think about that. It's food for thought. I know I'm using a lot of food metaphors because I'm really hungry and I need to eat dinner. But anyways, I digress. So yes, the main thing is pay attention to what's going up, what's going down as far as lands and everything. An honorable mention, even though she's not rotating yet, is Sheldred, the Apocalypse. She has been coming down in price here and there. It's not like a sharp drop. It's just this gradual decline because people are realizing she's not as scary as she once was with the power creep, especially the power creep in Bloomburrow. No, don't get me wrong. She'll still be played as a 1 of, 2 of here and there in the older formats. Standard, I wouldn't be surprised if we keep seeing mono black or some kind of black X shell. Black green was really good for a while. So it wouldn't be surprising that we see a kind of resurgence of her, because maybe comes out with some high draw in Bloomburrow, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I think she's still poised to be pretty good. But I would be on the lookout of maybe offing some sets if you don't want to keep it, or maybe picking some up depending on how far she drops. but she is definitely somebody to keep an eye on because she will not be rotating until next fall. With that, looking into the future to next year, definitely be on the lookout for like Dominaria United, Brothers War, Phyrexia, and March of the Machines. Those are all getting the axe next year. So like Atraxa and the battles and the Brothers War artifacts and things like that, those will be rotating out next year. So might be a good time to start offering some of that stuff eventually. That has some good price tag value to it if you are somebody who is into making money and trading and all of that on value. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope you guys, maybe if you're not paying attention too much, which I'm sure none of you are living under a rock unless you're just getting into Magic or something, but this is my point of view. This is my take on the rotation and what's coming out and what I think needs to be looked at as far as getting ahead of the curve. I know some of you probably already got your Surveil lands. I have mine. I'm definitely going to be playing some Standard hopefully soon, even though it's not the great format that it once was. But hopefully with the power creep and the design and some other stuff, maybe Standard becomes better. But honestly, Magic to me is starting to feel like a lot like Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's like if you don't win by turn 2, why are you even playing? Which doesn't seem fun to me. So maybe they need to dial back a little bit of the power creep to slow the game down. But hey, you know what? Let's just see how things go. Let's see how this new set goes, especially with things like let's look at Nadu. I already talked about it once, but I'm going to talk about it again. I don't believe that card needs to be banned. I know a lot of people are still crying for it to be banned. Play better or build different decks. I know that's the consensus from some of the people that don't agree on banning it. I'm not going to say that that's my answer. My answer is every card is beatable if you decide you want to beat it. You know, every deck has a weakness. You just got to find it. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you agree with me, disagree with me, put it down in the comments below. I'd love to have a discussion down in the comments and maybe even have somebody on to discuss about it on a video. So with that, I'm going to get out of here so I can go eat some dinner because I am hungry and yeah, I got nothing else to say. So I will leave you as I always leave you. I hope you guys have a great day and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay syrupy, my friends.